Basically, it all starts kind of when you walk up. You just kind of get an overall feel for what the aircraft looks like, and like what it's looking like in front of you, basically. And that's kind of your first little test of when you determine whether or not anything's wrong. Um, so like if you walk up and something immediate, like a tire's flat or something like that, you see that immediately. It's the first. It should stand out basically because the airplane won't be sitting level. Um, but if nothing's wrong, basically the next thing you move on to, you start on the right wing. And you start from behind it, and then you basically just check all the hinges, the screws, make sure nothing's cracked on the wing, make sure the wingtip's good, nothing's crushed, no one hit anything with it. And then you make your way around to the front where you basically test the fuel using basically this little tube. And you just make sure there's no sediment or air or anything like that, or water in the fuel. Um, and then once you finish, that's pretty much the right wing, and then you move around to the front, basically to the engine, and then that's where you open it up and you make sure all the belts are connected, all the different wires and all that stuff's connected. And then you test the propeller, make sure the alternator belt's there, and make sure there's no chips on the propeller blades. And then you make your way around to the left side of the engine, and that's where you test your braking fluid, make sure your fuel pump's all connected, make sure all that stuff's basically good and ready to go. And then you make your way to the left wing, basically do the exact same thing with the left wing as you do the right wing. You also, beforehand, you got to make sure all the checklists and everything's there beforehand. And then you also got to check all the tires. You check the, like I said, when you walk up, you should see whether or not they're flat. But you also got to check the brakes on them and see what they look like. If they're super worn down, they might need to get replaced because the brakes are pretty small. But yeah, so in the left wing, you basically perform the same procedure as you did on the right. And then eventually you make your way to the back, which is where you basically test the rudder to make sure there's a little bit of rudder movement. You test your elevator to make sure the elevator has full movement. And start her up and you're ready to go.